Welcome to A Night with a Medium, starring Tessa Del Zappo. Broadcasting live from the Yowawa Media Studios high above the beautiful city of Niagara Falls, New York. Thank you for joining us, and we welcome each of you for a spirit-filled evening.
Hey everybody, super excited to be back to tonight. I haven't been in studio since before Christmas, so very excited. I have an awesome guest tonight. He's a good friend of mine. If you've been following me, you know that it is Garrett Thomas. He is known as literally one of the top magicians and a creator of magic. He has the best mind you could possibly imagine, blows me away every single time. But I brought him on to do an interview in regards to life as a magician, and everything that goes along with it. He has worked directly with David Blaine for a very long time, which is amazing. He was featured on the CW's Fool Us with Penn Teller. So what I've done is I'm going to show you a quick clip of that, and then we're going to go right to his interview. And following that, as always, I am going to do some live readings, take your calls and questions, and we're going to have some fun. So here we go.
It is painful, but all the way through all four fingers, just like so.
We can catch you on anything. If it is anything other than a ring that comes apart, you have fooled us and you make the call. Doesn't prove it. I want your word. I trust you more than my eyes.
It is an absolutely normal ring.
It does not come apart.
It does not come apart.
You fooled us, sir.
Situated. I'm so glad to kind of see you, sort of. I miss you. How have you been?
This is what we've got now.
Yeah, look at you with your setup. I love it.
Things have been crazy. I'm doing Zoom shows and things like that. So
yeah,
we have this is my theater I now kind of perform in, I guess.
I love it.
I interact with all my toys and stuff like that. I got this impossible object. This can't exist.
Oh my gosh. I was going to say, I'm like, what is this new toy that we have here? Look at that.
So
that is so cool.
Well, it's just not real.
What do you mean it's not real?
It's totally impossible, Well, I mean, is it real?
I don't know. Is it? I never know with you.
How could that exist? Just impossible.
Yeah. That is so crazy. Okay.
Won't talk about that.
But I want to talk about it. I want to see. I love all your toys. Look at that thing.
Basically, that was it.
Oh, okay.
So here we go. Boop.
Oh, look at you. Okay. Oh, that's so interesting.
So it's
that's
a shape
trippy.
that can't exist in nature, but can exist from a fixed point of view.
Right. Oh,
your brain chooses to see it the way it mostly makes sense, but when it doesn't make sense.
Right.
If I get it just right, it becomes an impossible shape. But
oh wow, I love that.
It's just that.
I love that. Look at that thing.
So just fun.
Well, that's fun. I love all the stuff that you have. I love the fact that I could find your pink elephants all over the place too.
There's full shelf. They go forever. There isn't a spot in the room that isn't that doesn't pink elephant. There's just
right.
Actually, I toned it down over here.
Yeah.
It was a bit much. So.
Yeah, but it looks amazing. I'm super excited for you. I'm glad that you can at least, perform from somewhere. As of right now, you got to adapt until we can, maybe get back out there sooner than later, hopefully. And so I'm really excited. I'm so happy.
I used to perform. Thank you. Yeah, I used to perform 9 venues a week, so this is you know, a lot slower than I'm used to, but I love being able to get out there and at least do something for people.
I know. My mom and I were just talking about when she saw you at New York Beer Project, and you know, she's like, he just blows my mind. She's like the 8-ball and the wallet thing, and like I'm like, you don't even know, you didn't even get to see everything. Garrett's amazing, so we can't wait to see you again. You know, but I'm glad that you have at least this set up. I'm so happy to have you on my show. I feel like we have so much to talk about. You know, and so I want to start off first and foremost. I want people to get an understanding of like who you are, like how did this all start, you know, and like where did magic start for you?
Yeah, this is now my life. This is how, you know, this is just a creative environment for me to create magic. So instead of just being crazy enough to be someone who performs performance magic, I sit at home and try to dream it up. I try to create. I try to ask myself, well, what would a magician do in the modern times? And so it all started with having dyslexia. Everything became a puzzle for me. Like just to understand anything, I couldn't read the instructions. So I had to just kind of figure out how the game worked, how the radio worked, how everything. I broke it apart to check it out and put it back together. And I would just kind of try to understand things in a different way. So everything to me was a puzzle. And magic, from an inventor point of view, is a puzzle. You know, the magician has to figure out how to create a moment for someone that isn't real, how to create conflict between what you're experiencing and what should be happening. Kind of like that weird shape we showed you, that your brain can't see the truth because it's trying to see it the way it would normally see a three-dimensional object, but it can't see the truth of the shape because you're conditioned to seeing things a certain way. So a magician could take advantage of those things, but because of my dyslexia, I was able to look at everything like that because I had to, just to survive. I couldn't read the magic books that I wanted to learn magic. I was obsessed with magic. And so I would just kind of look at the pictures and try to figure it out. Even something as simple as my name. So, you know, Garrett Thomas, when you meet someone, their name tells you nothing about them. But my signature will tell you a lot about me. You see, Garrett is Garre, I think. Yep. And TT. Don't help me, I got this. And that is actually both Garrett and Thomas. So you see, that's Garrett.
Okay.
And Thomas.
Stop that. That's trippy. That's awesome.
And that tells you that I have a lot of time on my hands, and I got to get out more.
But it works so well.
Well, you know, my parents didn't give me a magical name. They gave me a normal name. I mean, Garrett Thomas is a strong name, but it's not like Siegfried or Roy. Those are magical names, you know. But Garrett Thomas, you know, I made the signature do something magical. So it's now a world record. It's the world's fastest ambigram. I performed it rather slow there for fun, but it's just something I use to introduce myself, to show people, you know, kind of how I look at the world. You know, I'm always going to flip things. I'm always going to try to take a different point of view, because that's where I can discover something that no one else has.
Right.
And being an inventor of magic tricks, that's what I got to do. I have to ask myself a question that has never been asked before.
Yeah.
And my whole upbringing, and I lived in a house with my mother was an artist, my father was a carpenter, so we're always making things, and no one told me, no, you know, put the cards away, you're not going to do card tricks for a living. And you know, because mom painted, you know, she was a portrait artist for a living, so so no one could tell me no. So that led me to this creative endeavor. What I do now, I'm one of the writers for David Blaine, so I help him on all his TV shows since 2003. In all of his projects, actually. We just did Penn Teller Fool Us. We were on national TV, and I won that competition with a ring trick that I had created. They assumed that the ring had to be a special, you know, ring that came apart, and because it was done by a different means, I won the game, I guess.
If it's
I wasn't
okay
trying
with
to
you,
win. I just
if it's okay with you, I would love to insert a clip at some point of the Penn and Teller thing in here, like when we redo it, because people need to see this. It was brilliant. It was brilliant.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just make sure you get the right amount of time, because they have computers that keep track of all that. So make sure it's in your copyright, time.
So many rules.
There's definitely a lot of good footage there. So yeah, great. I'd love to.
Those are all things I wanted to talk about. I mean, so people understand you create magic, which is fascinating. And I know a lot of people, I've come across a lot of people, and I have to say, not just because you're here, you honestly are one of the most intelligent, interesting people and minds that I've ever met, and we've talked in depth about, oh God, I mean, I don't even know everything. And your perspective on things and the way you see the world and the way you see the universe and life. And, your mind is so, it's just so interesting in such a good way, in such an amazing way. And, so like knowing that and knowing that you come up with these magic tricks and these amazing illusions and things, because you're known for sleight of hand. Is that correct?
Yes. I mean, I create all sorts of things, but I'm mostly proficient at achieving the magic by a human element.
Yes.
That's one of the things I love. I mean, you can buy a trick deck of cards and be a great magician. You can buy a special box. But to me, that's kind of like being Batman over being Superman. Anyone with a credit card can do those things. And if I was going to dare say that I'm doing magic, I would want to artistically be the cause.
Right.
So that everything that I achieve is by my actions. It's not a special cup. It's not a special ball. It is just me and these objects sitting here and having something impossible happen that just can't happen unless this is, if you were here, I would let you check these things out, and you would see that there's nothing funny to be seen. But anytime we want, we can bring that ball right back. And it's just done, if you were alive, you would look the same way and you could check everything out.
Yeah.
I love the human element. I love the doing of magic because if I'm the cause, then I can claim that I'm doing it. And for years it was a struggle for me, because I understood what was happening and it wasn't what people were observing. And so I for years I would say, no, it's not magic. I'm an actor and I pretend to be a magician. But I realized there is no difference between perceived reality and reality.
Right.
And there are people that call themselves hypnotists, even though they don't have the power to hypnotize anybody. They do know how to set up the conditions to guide someone into a state of mind that's called hypnosis, but it's not a real power you have to be afraid of. It's somebody who studies how the mind works, and they could guide you into hypnosis, but they're not hypnotizing you like a supernatural power. And in the same spirit, I'm a magician because I set up the conditions for people to experience magic. Instead of me saying that I'm doing magic as if this is a supernatural thing, I believe magic is an experience that you have based on your point of view. And in that realm, I'm the cause, and I'm actually doing, magic from that point of view.
Mm-hmm. And the crazy thing is, I could say honestly, I've seen many of your tricks, right? And many of the illusions that you do. And firsthand, it's unbelievable. I don't know how many times I've told you to either shut up or swore at you because I just, because you just blow my mind every single time. I think there was one time we were out in Buffalo somewhere, right? And you did the wallet trick. That one, I think I swore at you for, because I was like, I couldn't comprehend, which is the most amazing thing. Like how, you're just so good at what you do. And I feel like people need to understand how amazing you are. You go to, I was going to ask you too about the Magic Castle in California, right?
Yep.
And every year, correct?
We used to perform there every year up until, 2020.
Right. Well, can you tell us about that and how you perform there and the things that you've achieved and won? Because I feel like people need to know, like, you're just like the top person.
It is, I'm a very unique person because of all of the things I bring to my creative process.
Right.
So all the magic I do is based on myth and metaphor and symbolism. Most magicians, and when you say, you know, that I'm an amazing magician, magicians at the bare minimum need to be amazing. And I know you mean it where I'm more amazing than most. And it's because I do different things. Most magicians go to a magic shop and they buy tricks from other inventors, and I sell magic at magic shops around the world.
Right.
And, you know, for me to say that I'm doing magic, I needed to be the cause. Well, in the same way, I needed to be the creator. You know, even like right here in my show, I talk about the magician, just to show kind of how my creative process is. And we have the classical rider-waite magician. And the magician is the one that points to heaven and earth, right? As above, so below type of stuff.
Yep.
And, you know, technically, it's what happens in heaven happens in hell.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on how you look at those words. But even if you analyze kind of the magician's wand, you know, a wizard wand goes to a point.
Mm-hmm.
And a wand is an extension of, it's like a laser pointer. It's an extension of your finger. You can address things. But a magician's wand has two ends that goes, so it's ambidextrous,
mm-hmm.
which comes in handy for a magician. But it also is the as above, so below symbolism.
Right.
But it's not really as above, so below, as in heaven, so in hell, or as in heaven, so on earth. It's really what happens in the heart is happening in the mind. And the journey between hell and heaven is the animal heart and the heaven thought process.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the length of the magician's wand from the heart to the head.
Yeah.
And so everything, even in this environment here for my show, we have all of this symbolic ritualistic magic that is all full of myth and concepts and spirit and meaning and metaphor. And then we have over here the puzzles and the games and the logic and the science of it all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the psychology. Why does this work? And the magician is always the one between the two worlds.
Right.
Because he understands the science, but understands the ritual. We get the math and the logic, but we also know the holistic healing of concepts and of these symbols. And I think our world gets really confused because if you have a broken arm, some people want to pray about it. And if you have a broken heart, some doctors want to drug you. And if you have a material problem, a material answer is often the best solution. If you have an emotional problem, well, don't drug me. I need art. I need meaning. I need metaphor. I need something to heal me emotionally. In a world of concepts, you have conceptual answers. In the world of the physical reality, you want physical answers. And the magician has always been the one who's kind of between it all. The head and the heart, we're balanced in a way, and we go, well, we understand this, but if you go all on that, you're going to miss the beauty. But I understand this, but if you go all on this, you're going to miss that 2 + 2 is 4. Right. You're going to miss the science. So always somebody that's in the middle to pull us to that. So this is kind of like, I'm sharing this with you because I'm showing you the creative process of why my magic might stand out is because hidden in it is these deeper meanings and metaphors. Because most of the time, I'm just entertaining people with clever tricks and puzzles. But every once in a while, somebody who's struggling might need to be lifted up. Mm-hmm. And magic is a symbol of hope. But the same exact moment might be an ego check for somebody else. Because magic can also be, well, you don't know anything.
Right.
So the same exact moment can lift someone up and another person can be brought down. Mm-hmm. It's something I learned when I was on Penn Teller, because I usually don't perform for large stages.
Right.
Because, I from an empath type of place, I would say, well, everybody has their own issues.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could talk to everybody, I would be able to give them the magic they need. But what I didn't realize until after the show is that I needed to treat the audience like one person.
Yeah.
So a good comedian will make everybody laugh. A great comedian can make everybody laugh at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Because what they're doing is through their rhythm and their cadence, they synchronize the audience to being one entity. And even artists will talk about that was a good audience, that was a bad audience, that was, the audience was on fire, they talk about them as a singularity.
Mm-hmm.
And us on this planet, we are a singular entity, but we play this game. I get to be a Garrett that is a performance magician.
Yeah.
But the type of magic I'm also referring to in metaphor is just wisdom, the magi type of magic,
Right.
which is not really what I'm doing. I truly believe that magic is the core of all art. Any science and any art, if you go back far enough, goes back to magic. So scribes were writing at one time, the writing today or texting today, let's say, if you go back far enough, you're a scribe, which means you're a mystic, which means you have the power to cast a spell called spelling, and you're able to write words and change people's point of view with this tool.
Mm-hmm.
And that was magical. If you could control your hand and actually put words on paper, you were revered.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's technical. If you're an artist, you're able to create something that doesn't exist and now manifest it in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
It all sounds like magic, if you go back far enough. All of medicine, the symbol of a doctor is the magic wand with the snake wrapped around it.
Right.
And that it goes back to the healing aspect of magic. So, but what we forget is that as a performance magician, my job is to remind everybody you are a magician. You just forgot. I also believe you are an artist, because if you have identity, if you have this blank canvas that was this animal, this this human being that didn't need to be a Garrett, it didn't need to be your identity. So you chose to make, what does it mean to be a Garrett Thomas, the magician? And so I made choices artistically and decided to make this art piece, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm doing an art that only exists in their mind. I'm not shaping canvas or clay. I'm shaping a moment that they experience. So my art form only exists in the minds of others.
Right.
Without them, there is no magic.
Right.
I'm just juggling until there's an observer, and then it becomes a magical moment. That exchange is even more powerful for a magician.
Yeah.
I would also add that maybe acting is very much like that, because the character isn't complete. It's just Jim Carrey pretending, and then he becomes Andy Kaufman because you go into that zone and you believed he was Andy Kaufman for that movie. It's not, he isn't that character until your brain finishes it.
Yeah.
It's just somebody reading lines and doing that. So the art of acting has got magical elements in it. You're shape-shifting and becoming another person.
There's literally steps, and I'm learning it more and more because I did jump into that. And, I work directly with Vincent Curatola, he has an acting class workshop, but I work directly with him, and he has challenged me more than anybody. And I love it. He's amazing at what he does, but there's like steps that you take. It's actually a method, and you have to believe you're that character. And it's like, you have to sense, where are you in that setting? Like, what's the setting? Where are you? What do you smell? What do you, who's around you? What are you feeling in that moment? And you have to bring yourself there and actually become, that character. And if you believe that you are, and you believe that you're that character, it's going to show, and it's very true.
I've always said that I'd rather teach an actor how to do magic than a magician how to act. Because the acting is actually, I'm not really a good actor. I have a hard time not being authentic, not being myself.
Yeah.
Maybe because of dyslexia, I'm already doing enough work in my head.
Yeah.
So I'm always just playing me. But at the Magic Castle, we have, it's in LA, so we have tons of celebrities that come through.
Right.
And it's one time the curtains opened up, and it was Aaron Paul and Will Arnett
Yes.
in my audience. And there's a funny story with that, with what happened to Aaron. But after the performance, they enjoyed the show so much they wanted to buy me a drink and hang out. And so we started talking, and eventually a crowd gathered, of course, for many reasons. But
Yeah.
I started talking about comparing and contrasting acting and magic.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, actually, acting is a form of magic. It is shape-shifting.
Yep.
And I said to Aaron Paul that Jesse still lives in you. And he's like, yeah, like I can't get rid of him.
Yeah.
Right. So
I feel like he will always
be.
be Jesse. Anybody who sees him, he's just Jesse from Breaking Bad.
Yeah. But he's trying to break that by
Right.
His appearances on Westworld and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's trying to not be pegged, but he's a fantastic actor and really serious about his craft. And when he goes all in, and there is like this possession that happens by you becoming that person. And then, so you got to be careful as an actor to not let it grab hold. Like Jim Carrey, after he went all in playing Andy Kaufman
Mm-hmm.
for the Man in the Moon,
Yep.
he wrote about, because he was Andy Kaufman 24/7. If you watch the documentary, it's an amazing documentary about identity.
Yeah.
And he said that after he was done, because he was Andy for the whole filming 24 hours a day, never stopped being Andy. He forgot how to be Jim Carrey.
Wow.
And then he said, wait a minute, if I can't remember who Jim Carrey is, then Jim Carrey was as much of a character as me being Andy Kaufman.
Mm-hmm.
And so he, after that, you see him change his language and his attitude about perception and truth and identity and stuff like that, and how we see our world. And it's really quite beautiful. And his art, his paintings are beautiful.
Yeah.
You look up Jim Carrey's, the things he's saying, everyone often thinks that he's just saying it for show.
Right.
If you really listen to the words he's saying, he's not wrong. He's not wrong about identity and stuff like that. And, I like the idea of that we get to be these people.
Mm-hmm.
And you could change it, you could shape it, you could make it something different. If you don't like something, you have the power to paint over it and do something. If you didn't like what your parents started with, because often you're when you're young, you're impressionable, so they start your painting for you. But you could erase all that. You don't have to keep any of that. You can keep the parts you like and then make something else out of it. And once you can step back and be the observer, the higher self that is the witness, then you have control. We feel out of control when something is in us. And so as soon as you write it down and put it in your hand, that form of magic, that's not performance magic, that's conceptual magic, that's the real magic. When you write, if you have something you want out of your life, write it on a piece of paper, put it in your hand, and you can choose to let it be there to remind you to let go of that, or you can rip it up, or you can burn it, and you can destroy it. And now, in that ritual, I believe the best rituals are your own. If you follow the rituals of other people of the past, they'll work. But if whatever you want to achieve, just make a magic ritual out of it. Make a symbolic meaning, and that will be more impactful for you than listening to someone else's path. The point of the Rubik's Cube, if you think about it, it comes solved, right?
Yep.
So it's done. But life would be boring if we just left it this way. And they tried to sell the Rubik's Cube. I got to perform for Erno Rubik himself, and he sold it solved. And then puzzle people said, well, it's not a puzzle. It's already done. You wouldn't sell a crossword puzzle filled out or a jigsaw puzzle put together. And then he tried to sell it mixed up, right?
Yeah.
So he sold it in something like this condition. And then people would say, well, mine's broken. Mine doesn't go back. So he realized that he had to sell it. He had to sell it fixed, so that people knew it could go back, because all the problems in this cube right now, I put there. All the problems in your life, you put there. And that it looks like a mess and it seems impossible to fix it. And that maybe with skill and time, you can put your life back together and fix these things, right? Crazy. But guess what? Even if life feels perfect again, guess what you're going to do? You're going to mess it up again.
You're going to mess it up.
Because it's boring. Right. It's boring to not. So the Rubik's Cube is not about solving it. So if you never solve the Rubik's Cube, don't feel bad. The Rubik's Cube is actually about keeping it twisting. The health benefits of seeing this red and lining it up with another red, that alone is just your left brain and right brain. Everything's active and everything's, connected. Now, as a magician, I have to make the problems of life look simple. I have to make it look like it just happens by magic. Like I would solve this. The world record right now is 3.7 seconds.
Oh, wow.
So under 4 seconds. I would have to be faster. Actually, I do them a disservice by being slower. If I'm going to cheat and create an illusion and still be slower than someone who's really doing it, to me, that's an insult to them. So I have to do this in like 0 seconds. And 0 people in the world can do this. You can't even count to 0. Try to count to 0. I'm done.
You're crazy. I
Fun fact, the time it takes you to count to 0, you could have counted like all the way to 1, which is infinitely larger than 0. And that's not Common Core, that's hardcore, that's real math.
That is real math.
Yeah. So, so everything I look at in my world, these are all symbolisms and metaphor. Even like Alice in Wonderland came up, I have the Red King and the Pawn.
You do.
Because these metaphors are what guide us. These arts, these entertainment are what help us. We're no longer asking what would Zeus and Othello do. We're asking what would Hulk do. If you have a problem with anger, study the Hulk. He'll teach you how to control your anger and what to do with it and how to use it as energy instead of hating it, to embracing it and saying that anger is really just passion. We have negative and positive words for all these things. If you're worried, well, that's also a part of hope. If you're nervous, that's a part of excitement. If I showed you a hot poker, like a piece of iron that's glowing red.
Yeah.
And then had you close your eyes and then I touched you with a ice cube. Your mind doesn't know the difference between extreme hot and extreme cold. It just understands extreme. And in many ways, we are manifesting our own glasses half empty, half full thing by the language we use. Every word you say is a magic word. Every word you say is a blessing or a curse to your life. So when you are nervous, like as a theater person, you always get nervous before you go on stage. If you don't, you're not challenging yourself enough. You're not pushing yourself enough if you don't. But so that should always be there. But as soon as that happens, just say to yourself, I love it. I'm so excited. And when you reframe that as the word excitement instead of nervous, now all of a sudden you can use that energy to be successful in your performance. So those are just, and these things work for life. Everything, instead of saying it's a problem, it's a challenge. And now we're going to, this is great. We get to do something. We get to solve a Rubik's Cube. If no one ever messes it up, you could just never touch it. But now I get to do something. I get to do, being engaged with it.
Yeah.
So I love that.
And it's true. It's all about reframing. I talk about it a lot, reframing your mind and your thoughts, and that becomes your reality when the way you talk and the way you see things. A mutual friend of ours always catches me on what I'm saying, and he'll stop me and be like, did you hear what you just said? And I'm like, no. And he'll catch me and he's like, you need to reframe it this way, And he's caused me to really, between you and him, both have caused me to really step back and listen and understand that it is what you're saying is the magic, and it becomes something based on the way you're viewing it, what you're saying. And sometimes we don't even catch it. It's very unconscious, you know?
People do too much to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They say, okay, I want to lose weight, so I'm going to stop eating sugar. I'm going to diet. I'm going to start running, or if I'm going to, because the weather's bad, I'm going to get on the bicycle and I'm going to try to exercise more. And then I'm going to, well, you know what, I probably should quit smoking as well. And they do all these things, and guess what? You're going to fail.
Right.
The first step to changing anything in your life is to change your words.
Mm-hmm.
Don't empower it. Don't give it life. Don't give it power by saying, oh, I'm just tired. Oh, I'm just lazy. Oh, I don't feel like it. Say, you know, this is great. I'm going to push myself through that, and just reframe everything by changing the language first. And don't punish yourself if the thoughts come to your mind, you know, because the thoughts are connected to the language, and it works both ways. Like they did the study about if you smile more, you're happier. And then when you're happier, you smile more. Everything works both ways. The head and the heart are literally connected. If you change things here, it will affect what's here, as above, so below.
Yep.
So in that same symbol, in that same metaphor, if you want to affect change in your life, instead of punishing yourself for the thoughts that come to your mind, because there is all different types of areas the thoughts come from. It's not just one source, because you can witness your thoughts, and then you can witness the witness witnessing those thoughts. So we are these multiple layers of identity inside there. So to try to fix them all, and maybe one of them is saying something for a reason, and maybe shutting that part up is not the best thing to do. You know, maybe, you know what, I should listen to this. Maybe there's a reason it keeps on coming back, that the haunting of that idea is there for a reason, and to dismiss it is missing an opportunity to connect with your unconscious mind. So the best path, I think, is just change your language, and it will filter what is unnecessary unconsciously, and then all that will be left are the things that has to be said.
Right.
You know, if you're drawn to some sort of art, to some sort of thing, explore it, because there is something you need to tell yourself there, and there's an emotional reason you're drawn to those elements. You know, with doing a reading, you know, I don't think the cards really have those power. I think it's you reading you because of your interpretation, and a guide can guide you into that relationship between how are you seeing this. I think it's the earliest like Rorschach test, or the earliest symbolism of every aspect of life. And
it's a tool. The cards are just the tool.
And so in the same way, I would say with what you're experiencing, your entertainment is a tool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your art is a tool, because it's a way to hijack the thoughts of the audience and engage and connect with the unconscious mind. That that through art and symbolism and metaphor, you can tap into something deeper inside of them. Mm-hmm. And that in that place you can have healing. You can have whatever they need. If they need, like I said earlier, if they need an ego check, it can be there. Mm-hmm. And it's the magic of somebody looking at a painting and going, it's my wife, and another person looking at a painting and going, it's my mother, and another person looking at the painting and go, it's just like my daughter, and the artist going, yes, you're right, you want to buy it? You know, it's like
it's all of those things.
You're not, you know, there are two different types of artists. There are photorealism artists, try to get you to experience it from their point of view. Mm-hmm. Then there are the artists that tap into symbolism and metaphor, where whatever you see is right, and both are valid. Yep. But I think it's, you cast a wider net and you have a larger audience when you choose to dance with them, instead of saying, nope, it's my way and you're going to see it this way and I'm right and you should all be educated.
Right.
You know, and having a relationship where sometimes you follow and sometimes you lead, and sometimes you let go and you let them twirl, and then sometimes you bring them back in. I look at this relationship in any art form as a dance between you and the observer, in whatever art it is.
It's amazing. I want to go back for a moment because we had talked a little bit about having that stage fright, or before you go on stage, and for what you are really, really known for, being this up close and not so much being in an audience in that setting like you did for Penn and Teller. Were you nervous getting on Penn and Teller? Did it like really challenge you? Maybe I think is more of the question, being in an audience in that setting. And did you have to change a little bit about like what you were doing and how you were going to perform it?
I was so excited.
Excited.
That I was having a panic attack.
Yeah.
It is actually something I learned because I'm also a teacher of other magicians and of other art forms. I coach, and working with David Blaine, I'm able to. With David, he's also a performance artist, not just a magician.
Right.
So
he's known for like the extreme, challenging stunts. Yeah.
And so I help him out a lot, and so there's deeper things. And I had said to myself, I'm just going to go on the show and let Teller get to see my sleight of hand. I'm not going to fool them. There's no way, and I'm not even going to try. So I'm just going to enjoy the privilege of being spotlighted on the show and featured. And that's really what the show is about. It's about them. If you're on the show, you're already a successful magician, win or lose. Mm-hmm. You have won. If you are invited, because you can't just audition.
Right.
You audition after you're invited. So the producers and the teams are scouting the best magicians of the world, and they go, wait, this guy's got something. That Penn and Teller might not have seen. This is awesome. Let's get him on.
Right.
And then they offer a slot, and then you choose if you want to audition. So I went there with the spirit of, I'm just going to have a good time. I want to get on Teller's radar. I want to let him know that I exist, and just kind of just say hello. The night before, it like hit me, and then I'm realizing, oh, there's going to be 2 million people behind the camera, and there's going to be a full Vegas-sized theater of people in the room, and I'm going to be surrounded by like 22 different cameras, and they're all not blinking, and this is going to be recorded in history forever and YouTubeable at every moment of every day. It's going to be a record of who I am and the type of magic that I do. And in that moment, it just hit me hard, because there's only one place I would perform like a theatrical show. I try to keep everything I do very conversational and just open. Like, this is my Zoom theater, right? I have like 500 tricks in here. Every one of these things does something. Right. And it's just, if you and I start talking about something, I grab it and like that. Here's a metaphor. Here's something that you might want to hear. There's a secret lesson in this trick that when I do magic, like what we talked about with your art, when you do something artistic or magical, in that type of magic, in performance magic, the mind opens up, and you are directly communicating with the unconscious. You're like hypnotized. When people zone out and they forget about their bills and they forget about their life, the issues of the day, they are healing. It's like being asleep and your body is healing. So in being in the zone as a performer is healing, but watching someone in the zone, because of everyone's empathy, we feed off of it. We don't care about an athlete that can put a ball inside the hoop, but we care about him if he loves doing it. If we see that passion in his eyes or her eyes, that they can be in their zone, and you see them doing what they're meant to do or what they want to do, and you go, I wish I could be that free. I wish I could do that. I wish I could just not care and do what I love. and just put the ball in the hole. That's what I want to do. And so I think we don't really care about any particular art form unless you're into that art form professionally.
Right.
You don't want to know how many pounds of pressure your favorite guitarist puts on the strings unless you're a guitarist.
Right.
You don't want to know how these tricks are done unless you're going to be a magician. But we do care about passion. We love when somebody loves what they do.
Yep.
And we see them, and it's often the person you made fun of when you were in high school, or it's the Elton Johns that you're like you were probably like, yeah, who is this guy? You're too weird. And then 20 years later, man, I wish I could just not care and just be myself. It's the same two people.
Right.
And that's how we learn. That's how we grow, I guess.
Yeah.
But all of these things are tied in. I think every art form, every type of magic becomes art, and it becomes identity until it becomes mundane and you need new magic.
Right.
So we are all, because of identity, we are all artists and magicians already. The art is how you made the identity, and the fact that you made identity with art makes you a magician. So there was this group of people called people. And then one of the people said, I don't feel like people. And everybody said, well, you're people, just be people. And the people person said, no, I'm person. I'm not people. And you're a weird person. You go live in the woods. And then was birthed the magician.
Mm-hmm.
The person that didn't fit in, but totally fit in.
Right.
There's two ways to be ostracized or not feel like you belong. One is to be outside of the walled city, the Merlin, the guy who lives in nature, but he understands what's going on in the city, but I'll just be here with my deer and my bears, and I'll just understand this element of life. At least this is honest, and then people, will demonize that person. Oh, you're weird. You're a weird person. You see things differently. We don't like you until they need you.
Right.
Yes. And then people have a problem, and person goes, well, yeah, I'm over here. I just see it from a different point of view. But all you got to do is this. You're just doing. You can't see it because you're in it.
Right.
But I'm over here, so I have a different point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And person comes back and says, you're doing this, and they go, we don't trust you. And then eventually they go, okay, what are you saying? And they listen to the person.
Right.
Now the magician becomes the artist, because now people go, ooh, look what he's doing. Look what she's doing. That's interesting. That's weird, but it's interesting. I like that. Mm-hmm. So what's been ostracized is now being celebrated, and that's the transition from magician to artist. And then they make that person king. They make that person the leader because they have different ideas, and it's going to help us all. And then it becomes, oh, well, he has a name and she has a name, and they have a name. I want a name, and we all get a name until it becomes mundane. But the fact that you took a name is an artistic thing and a magical thing already. It's such a beautiful thing that we live in this spiritual realm of concepts of these titles and these labels and these things. And it can be damaging if you use them wrong, but it can be empowering if you use them right. And for most parts, we have evolved to use them right.
Yep.
So all of magic becomes art, becomes identity. Because if enough people start doing that type of art, it's no longer an art. It used to be an art to have a web page or a social media platform, but now everyone's doing it, so it becomes part of your identity.
Right.
It's like the clothes you wear, which used to be an art, but now I'm just going to take what's on the inside and wear it on the outside. Mm-hmm. I'm going to, and that's why I wear black. Symbolically, it's because they say the clothes make the man. So I didn't want to be identified by my clothes. So I wear something that makes my outfit disappear, so that you have to judge me on me. It's a lot less traumatic than me walking around with it. So,
that's right. That would be some serious performance magic.
Maybe the views would go up. I don't know. So
I talk about this a lot too. I had a girl on my show more recently. She's a friend of mine. She's in Cirque du Soleil, and we had the same conversation in regards to circus, right? Yep. And the idea behind the circus and how that all came about. And you know me with doing lyra and the contortion that I do, and just the conversation of, you know, you look at it as the group of circus people, and we were, you know, considered weird, or back then they were the freaks, but then they come together and everybody wants to go see the circus because it's amazing, and because all of these people within that, you know, have something different that not everybody can do. And just that idea of bringing those people together too was a conversation that I had, and it all ties in that way.
And it's you know, when you look at it from one point of view, it's ugly, and another point of view, it's beautiful.
That's very true.
That's how everything is. You know, if you want to, you know, another quote, if you want to view paradise, just simply look around and view it. That's all you have to do, because if you want to change the world, there's nothing to it. That line from the Willy Wonka song, if you want to change the world, there's nothing to it. Mm-hmm. It has this double entendre. It means if you want to change the world, it's easy. But it also says if you want to change the world, there's nothing to it. There is no world. Life is but a dream. Mm-hmm. You know, it's that this is an art piece of our creation. You know, I validate this camera because I'm relating to it. The camera isn't the camera until I make it a camera and use it as a camera. You know, we forget that the road outside my home is a spiritual thing. It's just asphalt. Mm-hmm. It's not a road, and this is not a home until we magically make it one. We make it one through words, labeling, and interacting with these things in that way. And we all agree that that is a road, and therefore it becomes a road, but it's not really a road. Animals would not use it as a road. They go wherever they want to go because they don't know our rules. You know, so these, you know, there's the spiritual world and the material world. And the material world is the world of physical things. And the spiritual world to me has always been the world of concepts. Mm-hmm. However, your happiness, joy, success, and identity is tied up in the world of concepts. After you're healthy, you know, if you have a health issue that will change your happiness, well, that is a material problem, and you need a material solution. See a doctor, see a lawyer, talk to a second lawyer, get a second opinion, do the math, check the science. But then after that, go with your gut, mm-hmm. because in every way you have this. You know, we're built top down, head then heart. So your heart needs to know all the information. So you feed your head, just like Alice in Wonderland, feed your head, and then throw it out and go with your gut. Your gut can make the right decision once you have all the information. If you just go with your heart without using your head, you'll miss obvious things like, but it's your sister. You know, it's like, you know, but you know, it doesn't matter, you know, that she kicks puppies. It's your sister. You know, you're still gonna love.
She kicks puppies.
You know, but if you do the other side, you might have just believed that 2 + 2 is 5. Mm-hmm. And if you don't check again, if you don't double check your math and you just believe, your life is going to be hard, especially counting how many puppies you have. So you need both. You need the head, then a heart. So if you go with your gut right away, you'll miss obvious things. You know, you don't want to miss the math either. So get all the information, do what you got to do, and then forget it and go with your gut. You know, and mm-hmm. and then follow what your intuition is telling.
Yeah. The one thing I love about you and with what you do with your magic is the stories behind it and all of the things that you tie into each and every, thing that you do when you perform it. And, I've been obviously with you as you perform, and you always leave people with stories or some sort of metaphor or lesson behind it. And I find it completely fascinating. You have like one of the craziest, most amazing brains I've ever experienced ever. So that leads me to ask you, where can people find you? Like if they want to see a show, where do they find you? What do you have coming up so that people can follow along? Because I feel like everybody needs to watch you all the time.
Well, right now, everything's I'm kind of on pause for all the live performances, but I used to perform 9 venues a week,
right?
A year ago, almost now. So but if you kind of follow me on Instagram and Facebook, you'll kind of see what I'm doing. And I am now performing Zoom shows. I showed you 3 of the 400 tricks in this room.
Yeah.
Everything here does something. There's not a single thing that isn't ready to become some sort of magic. So there's a world to explore here, and I wanted to create a magic show that it wasn't a retrofitted recording of what I do live. I created all new magic for this environment. So the symbolism is me twisting. I always say that if my job in reality is to twist reality, being a conversational magician where I don't really perform a show, where you just encounter the magician like a witch in the woods or a leprechaun. They're not things you seek, they're things you encounter. Mm-hmm. So I've always liked just appearing in people's lives and doing some stuff and then disappearing and them not knowing, was that real? Like what just happened?
That's me. He's talking about me, because every single time you do it, there's no logic here. It's just the child who's like, he just made that thing disappear. It's really gone. It's gone. There's no logic behind it.
Yeah.
He's magic.
The child needs to breathe.
Yeah.
We live in a world where it's not okay to not know how your car works, because a mechanic could take advantage of you. You got to know a little bit about everything. You got to understand how your cell phone works so your provider doesn't take advantage. You got to learn a little bit about everything just to protect yourself. But here comes a moment that you don't have to know anything about, and you're not expected to, and no one's going to think less of you if you can't fill out a crossword puzzle that doesn't have clues. Magic, performance magic it's a puzzle for me, but if I eliminated all the clues from a crossword puzzle, no one would think less of you if you can't fill it out. A puzzle is designed by a puzzle master to lead you to success based on the clues they give you. Magician goes, all right, we'll take all the clues and throw them away. I'm going to hide the clues and just leave you with this checkerboard pattern. I think the ambulance is coming to get me. I think we've gone too far. So literally the road is right out there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You're just symbolically, it's an ambulance. We
symbolically, right.
So the thing that I'm always trying to do is trying to ask myself, well, what can I do here that I can't do anywhere else? And so I like playing with the world that is this medium that has a fixed point of view, kind of like that weird shape.
Yeah.
It's not a trick. It's just something that you can't see live,
right?
That you can see here. That shape in this moment, if you took a screenshot, that would be an impossible shape to exist in reality. It's the Penrose triangle, very MC Escher-esque.
Right.
But because everybody has the VIP seat in the house, I can share these type of moments of magic that I could never do live because you have 2 eyeballs. Right. If you try to, you have to close one eye to perform this for yourself, and even then, your brain will still interpret it right. But on camera, in a photograph, this shape takes on a whole new life from the right point of view, and that's what performance magic is about.
Right.
I condition people, get them in the right point of view as a gift, to give them a moment they can't get any other way. Magicians, performance magicians, aren't trying to sell anything. We're not trying to convince you that I can, change a Rubik's Cube by thinking about it. I'm not trying to sell that. I'm trying to give you a moment that you can't explain that forces you to question your identity. And so it ties everything in.
Yeah.
So if you just look my name up, Garrett Thomas, find me. I can help you out. Anything you can imagine that you might need a magician for, whether it's consulting or you want to learn magic, I can point you in the right direction. Because I'm a teacher, I'm allowed to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are wondering if there is elements of magic, like in your art form, with what theatrical things can you tap into, the symbolism and metaphors that are in every art.
Yeah.
It's all tied into magic, and that's why I kind of make those connections. It's because I see them as connected.
Yeah.
It's the butterfly effect. It goes up and down. It's not I always think about, what do I want to change in my life, and what's the least amount of energy I can do to get it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the second part. What do you want to achieve? And then people work. Well, a butterfly wing can cause a hurricane. That butterfly effect theory. So if you pause for a moment, you might be able to just step over here and everything else will line up. That one little choice you make might be the domino that you just need to trip.
Yeah.
And just to not be afraid to make those changes and go towards that goal every step of the way. Just it doesn't matter whether you're going this way or that way, as long as every decision gets you closer, then it will naturally evolve and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So I send up smoke signals, contact me, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. You'll find me, and if you need a performance on Zoom, if you got your cabin fever going and you want something to think about, magic at this point, since we've now reacclimated to this whole situation, magic is now a good thing again. I took a pause from it, because you don't need to mess with people when they're already being messed with by nature. Magic is not an art you need every day, like comedy. You need to laugh every day.
Mm-hmm.
But magic, you need every once in a while to reaffirm, who am I in the face of this new information? And but now we're getting back to the moment where you're going to see more and more magicians coming out of the woodworks, because we can perform in this theater. We can connect with people. I have interactive things where I can have you do stuff at home, some crazy stuff that is designed for this theater. So hopefully I'll get a chance to share that with everybody. So
absolutely. And I encourage everybody to look into that and look you up and watch, especially the Penn Teller thing. That was amazing, which I will try to include a clip for everybody to see. I can't thank you enough for coming on and talking with us today and just sharing the brilliance that is you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be a part of it. And it's, we're just going to keep moving forward and see what we learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, perfect. So we will cut there and we'll stop recording, but really thank you. I appreciate so much, for having you on, and you're great as usual. I have to tell you, my son finally, it was so weird. Like after Christmas, my kids got, whatever they wanted. All right, we're back. Thank you, Garrett, for being on with me. He was amazing. He did a little private thing for me after there. He always blows my mind. If I could have thrown something through the computer at him, I would have at that point. All right, so we're back and we're live now. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to see if I could put Facebook up here. I've been kind of trying to follow all of your comments and everything like that. And I'd like to do some live readings, answer some questions for you guys. I'll open up the phone lines. And yeah, get back to doing what I love to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. He's amazing. He, when I was doing the live casino shows and stuff like that, Garrett helped to really put things into perspective when it came to just visuals on a stage. I'm the performer, so I like to do stuff and be the performer. But as far as like the visuals, I had to bring him in so that we can get a better idea of what the audience needs and wants. So he was great. But anyways, okay, so I'm trying to set up my Bluetooth here. We're going to open up the call line. The call-in number is 716-226-0693. As usual, what I'm going to do is do some live readings. I just want to make sure we're connected. If you guys have trouble calling in, write it down in the comments. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start looking through the comments and answering some questions for you guys. I did see there was one woman. Her name was Bonnie. So Bonnie, if you're still here with me, let me know, because I had saw that you wanted to hear something from your daughter. What I always say is when I do live readings like this, especially in this scenario, virtually or remote, I just need a first name of whoever it is that you are looking to connect with. So if you can write me just a first name, it's easier for me to connect. And then, Peter, can I put up the Facebook? Oh, there they are. Okay, perfect. All right. So let's see. Oh, and also there's another spam person on here. So just don't respond to the spam people. They offer readings, but they're usually from a different country. So, but yeah, okay. So there was a person named Bonnie on here. Bonnie, if you can give me the first name of your daughter to connect with, hopefully I can connect with you, and then I'm going to take this call in the meantime.
Bonnie.
Hi, you're on a night medium.
Connect with? Yes, I've never called before, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now.
Awesome. Okay, first of all, if you could just turn down the live in the back.
Yeah, I just did.
Perfect. Okay,
I did.
Thank you so much. Who am I talking to?
Joan Gibbs.
Joan. Awesome. And then,
Right.
is there somebody that you'd like to connect with or a question that you have for me?
Joan Gibbs. Yes, Rachel.
Rachel, okay. Just go ahead and turn down whatever your list, like my show in the background. Just mute it or turn down the volume for me.
Okay.
Okay.
I did.
Thank you so much. Okay, with Rachel, what I get with her immediately is I get a very strong. She snapped her fingers. That's always my symbol that she passed quickly or at a time that nobody was expecting that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, who is this in relation to you? Because she comes across as a younger energy. I feel like she would have passed before her time. So who is this in relation to you?
That's my sister.
Okay. Was something overlooked for her for quite some time? Because for some reason she gave me trouble breathing, but she directed me here, and it almost made it hard for me to swallow. Do you understand that part of it?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No.
Was something overlooked with her for a while? Because she showed me a check mark at first. That's always my symbol for saying that either this wasn't looked at or it was overlooked or something. They weren't expecting whatever this was, and I feel like it progressed fast.
I haven't seen her for, a while because of the COVID. So if something was overlooked, I don't know that. No.
Okay. Do you know the cause of death without telling me? Because I just want to make sure that at least you'll understand the information.
We just found her. I had called her and she didn't answer. So then we went and we just found her there.
Okay. No problem. So what's happening is, of course, you might not fully know the whole story just yet. What she's telling me is that something was either overlooked or something happened very quickly with her to where she wouldn't have even expected it. Okay, something took over within the body. I do feel it was directed here in the heart or the lungs because of the fact that she made it really difficult for me to breathe. Okay, so just keep that in mind going forward with everything. What I do feel like though is was she living with somebody and somebody had stepped out or left at the time? Because she says nobody was around when this happened. Do you understand that part of it?
Yes, I do.
She doesn't want anybody to feel as though there's anything that could have been done. She does also, as all of them do, every spirit wants to let you know that they are safe and at peace. But this is very important to her to say to you today because of the nature of her passing. Because she says nobody was around when this happened and people feel as though they could have done something, or if somebody was there with her, they could have prevented this. She says that's not true. Okay.
Okay.
Is there a birthday or anniversary coming up? I keep getting the number 3. So whether it be the 3rd of the month or the month of March.
There is not her birthday. Her birthday just passed, but there is a birthday in March.
Okay, she's acknowledging the birthday coming up. Okay, so whoever that's for, she keeps saying happy birthday in March. Okay.
I figured, yes.
Also,
very good.
Wonderful. Did she have children as well? And did somebody live out of state or away from her? Who's got the 2 children in the family?
Well, I do.
You have 2 children?
I do.
And then do you live further away from her?
Yes.
Okay. She wants to acknowledge I'm around the 2 children who live at a distance as well as you, okay? So she wants to really just acknowledge to you that she's around you guys. She's acknowledging the 2 kids, you. She's acknowledging that she's safe and at peace. But she does give a lot of questions, and I feel like it's going to unfold in time. She just wants you guys to know she's okay in regards to her passing, okay? So I'm going to leave you with that part of it. But I thank you so much for calling in.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Care
Have a wonderful
yourself.
night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
All right. Okay, let's look at a couple comments here. I'm not sure if Bonnie was still with us or not, because I know I had seen her early on. Okay. Let's see. What other questions do we have here? Oh, Debbie says, I need to know if there is a presence in my house. You know, that's interesting, that comment, because I've had a couple people recently talking. Actually, I had somebody talk to me recently, 2 or 3 people message me about feeling negative presence in their house. And that, you know, they hadn't really had issues before, but more recently this is happening. I do want to acknowledge that there was I don't know if it was a full moon or a new moon. I'm really bad with astrology, but there was something like that happening. There's been a lot of like stress and anxiety that's being brought up in people recently, and a lot of those like heavy negative feelings that we get within a house can sometimes come from us or the things that are happening around us. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a negative presence. So I would definitely evaluate what's happening in your life right now. You know, if you're going through a hard time, you're stressed, if there's things going on around you, I would definitely say that sometimes it's almost like poltergeist activity where we cause things to happen from our own energy. Okay, so if it's not that, then that's totally something separate. Like if it's something that's been going on for quite some time. But I hope that helps. I would definitely look at what's happening around you first. Okay. Christine Monley, I think that's how you say your name. Thank you so much for writing in. Is my dad, John, around? Okay. Christine, with your dad, John, what I keep feeling like is the first thing, I always ask for specific questions to validate that this is who I'm connecting with. He showed me a timeline. When Spirit shows me a timeline, that's my symbol for a long-term illness or something that would have progressed throughout the years. But he showed me, he went like this, which means that he didn't know that this was happening, or there was some sense that nobody really knew this was happening for some time. I also don't think that he told everybody how bad it was or what he was feeling towards the end. But he wants to acknowledge that he's okay, because he said it was kind of, people were very, it was unexpected. Okay. I keep feeling like he goes, I just didn't want them to worry. Okay. I didn't want, kept it quiet in regards to how I was feeling. I also feel like he might not have went to a doctor. It's almost like if I didn't go, then it's not real. Okay. So he might have held on to how he was feeling for a little time. And then by the time he found out, it was either too far along or something along those lines. Okay. But he keeps saying, I'm sorry for not telling you guys. But he thanks you guys for taking care of him in the time that you needed to. I do feel, as always, they're okay, they're at peace, they're around you, or I wouldn't be able to connect with them right now, okay? So know that they're okay and at peace. He also says thank you for, I don't know if he passed in June or July, or if that's his birthday, okay? But I keep getting something being drawn backwards to June or July, and I keep wanting to say something about, like, thank you for whatever you did for me back here. There's also something about a plaque, or I don't know if there was like a plaque made in memory of him, or something to do with his background, or like an award that he might have gotten. Okay, Christine says it's his birthday. Okay, so thank you for celebrating that, is what he's saying, something done in memory of him. But what's with the plaque that he's showing me? It's almost like there would be like a picture of him or an acknowledgement of something he would have done. It makes me feel like a congratulations, an award, something along those lines from his past, okay? Christine says you just found one? Okay, well, that's amazing. So just, he's acknowledging that. They always validate things for you to let you know that they're watching and that they're with you. They see these things that are going on. So know that he's okay, he's at peace, and he's around you, and he knows that you found whatever award or plaque this is, okay? But thank you so much for allowing me to channel. All right. Sarah says, I definitely have a few different ghosts in my house. My little one talked about him constantly from time to time. Sorry.
Every time someone posts a comment.
Every time somebody writes something, I lose the comment.
I know. Sorry about that. But.
That's okay. It's so Blue Moon, is that what she says? Started talking every...
And every blue moon still does 5 to 6 years later.
Oh, got you. Okay. You know, it's so interesting. Our kids are so, I say it all the time, our kids are so intuitive. Pay attention to what they say and what they channel, because they don't even realize that they channel those things.
We have a children's show planned, don't we?
Yeah, I would love to bring some kids on and talk about it. I think Christine said something below that about her father was a New York police officer. So that's amazing. Something about like an award he received or something like that, which is great. All right. I think there was a girl named Cindy. There we go. Cindy Lou. Love that name. Can you also see the future? If the baby will be with us forever? I'm wondering if you're talking in regards to a pregnancy. I do see the future. I'm going to acknowledge this as kind of a general statement. Spirit will show us, you know, into the future to an extent. However, our free will and other people's free will can always change the course of things to come. Okay? So no matter if it's me or somebody else, you know, who have predictions. I don't necessarily do predictions. That's not my thing. I see myself as a medium. And if Spirit decides to guide us forward, then that's something separate. But free will can always change things. Cindy, what I want to tell you, if this is in regards to a pregnancy, which it feels like that to me, I feel like there was something that happened prior, whether it be like a miscarriage or a child was sent back for some reason, but they will have another opportunity to come through. So I hope that gives you a little bit of validation. Okay? Okay, so Joanne wants to hear from her son, Robert. Okay, so Joanne Warmus, my son, Robert. Let me see what I can pick up for you in regards to your son, Robert. I get the exact same feeling as I did with the call that I had. He went like this. So that means that he would have passed quick or unexpected from something. But to me, what I keep feeling like is that this was some sort of accident or could have been prevented in some way. Whenever Spirit shows me an accident, it means that it could have been prevented. Okay. So I want to say that with Robert, I keep feeling as though that someone tried to prevent this, because what I saw was somebody stepping in front of him or trying to prevent something like this from happening. And whoever this was who tried to prevent this feels very guilty about it. He literally showed me somebody stepping in front of him and being like, stop, or tried to prevent this from happening. And I don't know how you understand that part of it, but he says nothing could have prevented this. And he goes, I just want her to know that I'm all right. Also, you keep something of him that you wear all the time. Did you take an article of his clothing and turn it into something else? Because I keep feeling like I took my shirt off and then I made it into something else. It could be symbolic of you just using something of his to make in memory of him, but let me know how you understand that, because he wants to acknowledge that, okay? Okay. And then Cindy, you clarified that about the baby. I want to say it's the exact same message. Just know that what I feel is positive, and that if I feel that it's positive, eventually it'll come around in that way. So my thoughts and prayers to you that way. All right, so the call-in line is still open. I'm going to probably take 2 more questions. The number is 716-226-0693. And then if you can scroll up a little bit, like previous ones, I'd like to just take a quick look. I know Sarah sent me a video. I haven't gotten a chance to see it. My inbox is so crazy, but I'm going to I'll look after the show for the video. But if your question is your son psychic? Most kids can see. It doesn't mean that they're going to pursue, what I do as a medium in the future, but most children have a very, keep it right there for me, Peter. Thank you so much. Most children have a very, very strong intuition, because they don't have that logic and judgment that we develop as adults. So kids are very psychic. They can see and feel spirit. Okay, so Eddie says, is my father Emmett around? He passed suddenly a few months ago. Well, I am so sorry for your loss. Your father Emmett, let me see. Okay, what I keep feeling like is he was already previously sick. Okay, so I feel like something was internally going on with him, but this is not what he passed from. It was something external that caused him to pass, because he said that he has a smirk on his face. I don't know if he was a jokester or if he was like just a very funny personality, tried to make people laugh, because he was like, I could have taken better care of myself. jokingly, meaning that he goes, I was so busy taking care of everybody else that he kind of put himself on the back burner, but he keeps saying this was like an outside source that would have affected him. So hopefully you understand that. He wants you to know he's okay. And then there's people who weren't able to be there with him, he says. But then I feel like somebody went there anyways to be with him. It's almost like somebody went anyways. And I don't know if he's referring to you, Eddie, but let me know that, because he keeps saying, thank you for coming anyways. Thank you for being here with me, because he says I wasn't alone when I passed, okay? So just know that he's around you, he's with you, and he's at peace. And I hope that brings you some validation. All right. All right, I think I'm going to do maybe one more, and then next week I'm going to probably do an entire live where we're just going to do readings, and we're just going to take questions and stuff like that. Let's see. What else? Oh, you came to the house, Eddie. Okay. So it was you who went to the house. He says thank you for being there with him. I don't know if you flip-flopped and you were like, should I go there, or, is this the right thing to do? Because he goes, thank you for making that decision, okay? Mary says, my mom passed away a few years ago, and I just need to know if she's okay. Mary, what's her first name? All right. I'm already picking up on her, but I'm already picking up on your mother even without a name. Oh, okay. Yeah, so Sarah, I'll take a look at that picture for you. But yeah, in regards to kids, people with younger children, listen to what they're saying, because I'm telling you, they channel it without even knowing. Okay. Desalina, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a beautiful name. Mm-hmm. All right, so, okay. Oh, that's, before I channel with you, Mary, I just want to acknowledge, Joanne says, I do have an article of clothing that you want to make into a pillow. That's beautiful. Okay, so know that they know that you're going to do this for them. I love validation and just knowing that you guys understand what they're saying. It's so different virtually. You don't have that validation from people in person, so thank you for acknowledging that. Okay, so Mary, your mom, Deslina, I was picking up on her even without a name, so she has a very strong energy. I feel like she's a very strong woman. I feel like it's funny because she would like push everybody aside to come and talk to you. So I don't know if you've ever had a reading before, but know that she's the type of person in spirit. And I always say who they were here in the physical world is who they are in spirit. And she literally was like, I'm ready to talk. Here I am. I want to say something very similar. So I always say that there's piggybacking moments when I'm doing any type of audience readings, okay? So it works virtually as well. What I feel like is that there was some underlying condition she had, whether it was known or not, okay? But there was some underlying condition, and then I feel like something else would have been the cause of her passing. So do you understand that? Because I feel like she was sick for quite some time, and then it was almost like, but then she passed more quickly because something else came along, and it was almost like her body just couldn't handle it. But she says, thank you to my daughter for taking care of me. So I don't know if she lived with you or above you. I keep getting the sense of being right near each other. And she goes, I just want her to know that I recognize that she took care of me. She did everything she could have done. And I also don't know if you're in like a medical field of some sort. Spirit put wings around you. Okay, so that's her symbol for like, you were my angel, you're my angel, but also for being a healer. So I don't know if you actually work in the medical field or if you were just her little angel that she's referring to. But she also thanks you for being there at the time of her passing, because she went like this and this, which means that she was in some sort of state where she wasn't able to communicate. But she does want you to know that she knew you were there. And that this couldn't have been prevented. It was like whatever came into the picture where she was already compromised in some way, that there was nothing that could have been done to help that, okay? She also just showed me a windowsill of some sort, and I don't know what you keep of hers that's up on the windowsill, because I feel like whenever you're there every day, you acknowledge this. And she's smiling because she says, I just want her to know that I'm right here, okay? So just know that she's around you, she's okay, and she's at peace, as all of our loved ones are, or I wouldn't be able to communicate with them. So just know that she's with you, and I'm so sorry for her passing. Somebody else so I read somebody had wanted to know about private readings. So before I close the show, what I want to say is, number one, next week I'll be back and I'll be doing just readings and I'm just going to be connecting with you guys the entire time, which is going to be fun. And I also want to acknowledge that if you want a private reading with me, go ahead and either inbox me here on Facebook, or you can email me at tessadelzappo@gmail.com until my website is up and running, which will be hopefully soon, and then you could just book right there. And also next week, I'm going to be announcing a winner of a free 15-minute reading with me, which I'll be choosing from subscribers on my YouTube channel. So go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And thank you guys so much for being here tonight and watching. I will see you next week.